Williams, Abby Huntsman, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Trump taking off the gloves to deliver a major blow against potential 2020 rival Joe Biden.
I dream about Biden. That's a dream. Look, Joe Biden ran 3 times. He never got more than 1%. And President Obama took him out of the garbage heap, and everybody was shocked that he did. I'd love to have it be Biden. I think I'd like to have any one of those people that we're talking about. You know, there's probably the group of 7 or 8 right now. I'd like to run against any one of them. But Biden never by himself could never do anything. President Obama took him, made him vice president, and he was fine.
Crazy Uncle Joe is saying he's going to make a decision about taking on Trump by January. If he does, here's a preview of potential coming attractions.
They asked me, would I like to debate this gentleman? And I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I got Biden. He said, I'd like to take him behind the gym. I dream of that. Biden.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. I mean, all kidding aside, wouldn't you? I mean, for real.
Can you imagine if I ever made that statement? Donald Trump is a bully. He threatened Vice President Biden, but he can say it. Everyone thought, oh, that was a wonderful statement.
Look, folks, I gotta...
You know what you do with Biden? You go like this. And he'd fall over. Just... Tough guy, Mr. Tough Guy. Mr. Tough Guy.
So before we get to that news, there's some other news I want to address. I have a new hairstyle that I'm debuting.
There we go.
And I want to take it around the table. If anybody can notice to the side, it's a little different. What do you think, Greg?
I was going to say, if you think Biden is running, you're as high as Jesse's hair, because you're a cross between Morrissey and Elvis in the bad years.
I was going to take that as a compliment.
I think it looks like you just got out of a nice convertible.
Thank you.
Right outside the offices, came into work.
Thank you very much, Abby.
Very refreshed.
Much nicer than Greg. What about you, Juan? Juan, you're looking at me like you've never seen a hair like this before.
I didn't notice. I feel bad because
you don't pay enough attention.
I should pay more attention to my friends. But I mean, I don't know. It looks.
It's to the side and parted more wavy back.
What are you trying to accomplish?
My hairstylist took a month off, so this is out of necessity. I just haven't gotten it cut, so I just tried to rework it. What do you think, Kennedy?
I thought the best reaction was from Michelle backstage, who is one of the hair people here at Fox. And you asked her if she liked your new hair, and she went, huh.
Yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with this.
I think it looks like you went downhill skiing without a helmet, and that's a compliment.
All
that's
right.
Very outdoorsy.
All right, well, let's get to the news. Greg, what did you think about this potential matchup, Biden versus Trump?
Well, it just tells you how hard it is to be a Democrat. Is this a party or a rest home? And Biden is a walking gaffe machine, but it's not just his mouth. It's his hands. This guy, he shouldn't be running for president. He should be the head of the TSA. He is so touchy-feely. He doesn't just feel your pain. He feels everything. He misses calling as a chiropractor. But I don't think, you know what's funny?
What?
You know who gave us Trump? I think President Obama gave us Trump by talking Biden out of running. If he hadn't talked Biden out, because wasn't Biden thinking about it and then...
Well, he didn't want to go against Hillary.
Yeah.
It was her turn.
It was her turn. Exactly.
So do you think that Biden could get through a primary against Bernie Sanders? I mean, that's going to be a tooth and nail knockout brawl, I think.
Well, so talk about geriatric, yeah. You know, so the whole idea is Biden would be like 78.
Yeah.
78, that's pretty. But then you think, wait a minute, Trump is like 74.
But he's high energy.
Oh, please. So, I mean, you say, oh, the Democrats, you know, what kind of party is this? What do they have? But look at what the Republicans have done with a 70-year-old man, right? So, I mean, I don't see any big difference. But can he get past Bernie? I think one of the big negatives for Vice President Biden, Senator Biden, however you want to say it, is there's a lot of baggage there having to do with things like his stand on abortion in the Democratic Party. But also, remember, he was a big advocate in terms of questioning for Clarence Thomas and those hearings. And I think a lot of women might have questions about it. I don't think it's a matter of touchy-feely. You can control that. And boy, does President Trump ever have some issues with touchy-feely.
But not on camera.
No, that was the NBC tape.
Not with daughters of senators. Kennedy, what do you think?
A couple interesting things here. I think Greg is absolutely right, because not only did President Obama give us President Trump, because it was just a counter reaction to a two-term presidency, and that happens every time, and they're both pretty extreme when you take them apart. But also, President Obama goaded Trump into running at the White House Correspondents Association's dinner. He singled him out from the dais. It was a very funny performance, but he really challenged him, and that's essentially when he got into the race. Biden, this is interesting for Democrats because it says a lot about the party. It says that, you know, there's a big split right now between moderates and progressives. He's polling at the top of the field right now. Sanders actually comes in third, just next to Hillary. So Biden's around 30%, Hillary's 18%, Sanders is 16%, and Warren is at 10%. But it says that they are going in a more moderate direction, that they don't just want a bully, and they don't just want a progressive, and they certainly don't want a progressive bully like Elizabeth Warren.
I think it also shows how short the Democrats' bench is. That as we're talking about the age of Joe Biden, and then the next person in line is Bernie Sanders. I mean, that is where we are right now. Here's what I would say. No one has won trying to out-bully Trump. Right? So it's clear that Joe Biden is wanting to get dirty in the mud with him, and I'm not sure he wants to go there. If he does decide to run, you can expect things to get really, really ugly. I don't know that that's going to be good for this country. I think bigger picture is what is the Democratic Party going to stand for? You know, is Biden going to be the more moderate voice, or is he going to appeal to the Elizabeth Warren crowd? Because ultimately, you got to win the primary first. And a lot of them are talking about abolishing ICE, and they want, you know, less border security. So what is the messaging going to be? I think that's going to be the bigger question.
I think the answer is pretty clear now because, you know, the success of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and much of the party buys into this is the idea that you have good health care in this country. So bring back Affordable Care, Obamacare, however you want to describe it.
But you said good health care.
Yes. Providing it for those who need. Secondly, you have to do something about the high cost of college tuition, so therefore more in that vein. And I think finally you talk about incomes. And earlier this week on this show, we talked about whether or not guaranteed incomes are socialist or whatever, but more and more Americans think, yeah, you know what? There are too many people.
All three of those aspects where government does not need a bureaucratic stranglehold on healthcare or education or jobs or anything else. I mean, that's the problem. When government gets in the way of all of that, you stifle growth. But back to Joe Biden, he's a politician, and I think he will be able to triangulate. He's also really well liked. That's one of the problems that the rest of the field, other than Bernie Sanders, they have a hard time with that critical likability. And obviously, you know, other than Facebook and Latvian bot farms and Russia, that's what tanked him.
And he's a lifelong politician. And I don't know if this country wants more of the establishment, more of the swamp, more of these professional politicians.
Can I raise the thing I said that you mocked me for? I don't believe it was. I can't remember. It was 2 days ago.
That?
It's hard.
Is it still stinging?
Yes, it is. Hillary. If Hillary doesn't have a rematch, and I believe the specter of a rematch will outweigh the dislike for her within the party. I think that the idea of a rematch could be so big historically. Probably the most historical presidential election in history would be a rematch between Trump and Hillary, that everybody would want it because she can't. It'll be the first line in her obituary that she lost to Trump. She has to fix that.
There would be a draft Hillary movement.
I don't think she could make it. I don't think she'll be the nominee.
Yeah.
I don't think she will survive the primary process.
I mean, she barely got through Bernie, and it's only because she rigged it. All right, now let's look at the midterm elections, which are only about 2 months away, a little bit over that. House Democrats are unveiling their new campaign slogan. You ready? It's called For the People. They're also reaching out to supporters with power players like Michelle Obama. The former First Lady is launching a voter registration initiative featuring anti-Trump celebs. She's also making comments that may remind you of this.
And let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country because it feels like hope is finally making a comeback.
In a speech in Scotland this week, Mrs. Obama reportedly said, quote, "The last election in my country does not give me hope." All right, Greg, you want to take on Michelle Obama or the new Dem slogan?
The slogan is pure communism. Anytime you see people in it, it's communist, like the People's Republic of China. That doesn't sound too democratic to me.
How about we the people?
I'm against that as well.
Yeah, which people are the Democrats talking about?
Yeah, we the people, huh?
Yeah, is it illegal aliens or the people that's the people they want?
You know, that's what was the problem with the earlier part of this conversation. You're saying, oh, Joe Biden's a bully. He's threatening to beat up Trump. Trump said something about grabbing women in a certain part, you know? Oh, I remember that now. Maybe if we offered some context, the audience would say, oh, good for Joe Biden.
No one's saying that Trump isn't a bully.
Juan's saying all the things he wasn't able to say earlier.
No, I'm just saying, when you like context, when you say, oh, what about Biden? What about Biden's age? What about Trump's age?
Okay, well, let's move on.
But also the celebrities part of this, I think we learned from 2016 that celebrities don't win elections. I mean, how many times we saw Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus on that stage with Hillary Clinton?
And they actually lose
trying to get the
elections.
vote?
Remember that
But Trump's a
RNC ad
celebrity,
the other
anyone.
day that had all those crazy celebs saying, I want to kill President
If anything, it actually, I think, energizes the base to get out for Republicans a lot of times because they feel like they don't connect with the elites. They don't connect with celebrities. Michelle Obama is also quite popular right now, though, in the Democratic Party. So that is a better move for them than using Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton on his book tour.
She should run.
That was a disaster.
If Michelle Obama ran...
She might win.
Yeah, no, it would be...
But you're absolutely right. The contrast between the speech that she gave at the DNC in 2016, her farewell speech, that was one of the best speeches of both conventions. And now, you know, people for the first time in their adult lives stood up and said, wow, I really like Michelle Obama. She's making such sense and her message truly resonates. And, you know, she's a lawyer. She essentially has the same background that Hillary Clinton had before she carpetbagged her way to the U.S. Senate.
But to Abby's point, it shows you how shallow the Democratic bench is, that people are looking for a Hail Mary person like Michelle Obama.
Oh,
because
geez.
there's no way she's running.
What happened to the GOP bench in 16? Donald Trump?
We had 17.
He stepped on all of them. He crushed them all.
But,
right?
but going back to, that's the contrast principle, that when there were 17 similars and one different, the one different always rises above. It's going to happen with the Democrats. You're going to get 17 politicians, and you might get a Michelle, or you might get an Oprah, or you might get a Mark Ruffalo. Who knows? I'd say he's Mark Ruffalo.
So Ruffalo Cortez, that's the
That's it.
By the way, I was surprised to see that Tim McGraw and Faith Hill are part of Michelle Obama's team. I thought country music people wouldn't.
No. They've always been pretty liberal.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I think country music stars are very slow.
You guys can
after
have them.
Dixie
We'll
Chicks
have the
to
rest
say
of the
anything.
country scene. All right, the brink of a war with Russia. President Trump is blasting the media by saying that's exactly what they want to see. Up next.
There's no shortcut home. There's no easy way out. Giving in can't be rough.
Little chain smokers, I like that.
Boo.
All right, President Trump firing back at the media amid a new round of criticism over his summit with Vladimir Putin. This, as we are now learning from the White House, that the president has asked National Security Advisor John Bolton to invite Putin to Washington in the fall. Meantime, Trump is lashing out on Twitter, saying the fake news is pushing for a major confrontation with Russia, even one that could lead to war. Contrary to the press outrage, President Trump defends his performance in Helsinki. Here he is.
I don't know what the fuss is all about. I think we did extremely well, and I think the press makes up the fuss. Look, it's fake news, and people understand. I think the press largely makes up a lot of the fuss about a lot of things, and I'm not talking about one of it. I'm talking about everything. It's crazy. You do something that's positive, and they try and make it as negative as possible.
The print media also piling on. Time magazine's latest cover, look at this, features Trump and Putin morphing into the same person. And there's the New Yorker depicting the president falling down the Trump Tower escalator and landing flat on his face, but still managing to give a thumbs up. So it has been quite a week since Monday. Kennedy, I'm going to go to you for this. Look, I'm the first to say that many in the media never give the president the benefit of the doubt. But this has been a rough week. And this one was very much teed up for the president. All I had to do was say, I stand by my intelligence community. We are going to do everything we can to make sure this doesn't happen in future elections. Why has this narrative been so tough for the White House?
And he could have warned Vladimir Putin of that in their private meeting. He could have said, listen, this is something that I have to do politically. You understand politics. I have to go out there. I have to condemn this whole thing. It can't happen again, blah, blah, blah. It would have been pretty easy. It's kind of a layup. He knows that. And I think that's why he's talking about having this summit. And I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again, and I hope someone in the White House is listening. It is so, everyone is transfixed when the president has open meetings that are televised and catches everyone off guard by going around the room, and he should do the same thing with Vladimir Putin. They should absolutely have a televised conversation, not a press conference where people are asking them questions, but where they are going back and forth with their translators, and so he can knock him off his game a little bit. If he does the same thing again with Putin and repeats the same mistakes, it's going to be very problematic. It's such a quick news cycle. People have such a short attention spans. We can absolutely move on.
Jesse, do you think the president understands the severity and the seriousness of what we are faced with when it comes to Russia hacking and the meddling?
I think he's heard it, but I don't think he thinks it's as serious as some other issues.
Or do you think he feels like it delegitimizes his win?
Oh, I absolutely think that. I absolutely think that. And it's very important for him to spike that football because that was a great win. Let's remember. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. I mean, historic. But the real thing is the left is trying to create this new world war with Russia. They're not tough people, Abby. I mean, these people won't even say radical Islam. They get upset when you pour water on a terrorist's face. They think global warming is a bigger threat than terrorism. They ran away and surrendered during the Cold War. And now all of a sudden, they're tough guys. They want to take on Putin. Stop. You guys aren't tough. You guys ran tail every time America was faced with any real threat. So many other things affected Hillary's loss. The deplorable comment, the fainting. I mean, everything that she did, Comey, the email server, just because they published a few emails of people at the Clinton Foundation bad-mouthing Chelsea for using the foundation as a piggy bank for the wedding, that didn't swing votes. She never even went to Wisconsin, Juan. This whole thing was cooked up as an excuse. And that you never would have heard about all this hacking and all this stuff if Hillary had won. It would have been a little blip.
Let me just ask you a question. You ever crack a history book? You ever hear about FDR?
I majored in history.
FDR taking
I'm talking
on
about the
guys?
modern day Democratic.
I mean, when he met with Stalin?
How about Kennedy going after Khrushchev and staring him down?
How about Reagan putting missiles in Europe and Joe Biden saying, no, we don't want to offend the Russians?
How about Obama taking out bin Laden? He must have been a Republican.
How about all your party being against missile defense?
Oh, get out. You know what this is, though? It's unbelievable to me that he would invite Putin here in the fall. Maybe Putin will be here to see how he interferes in the midterms. Dan Coates, Trump's director of national intelligence, said it's an ongoing effort by the Russians to interfere.
I think he knows he's so clean on collusion, he doesn't care about having a second
Juan,
summit.
do you think that Russia and the U.S. should have a relationship? Do you think there are more important issues than that they can work together on?
Nothing bigger than our democracy. So you got to protect the United States. You got to say we as a
why don't you protect the border, Juan?
I will protect the border.
You're all into protecting electoral integrity,
you are so
but not the integrity of the border.
All right, Greg.
I like the integrity of the border, but I got to say, when you don't say clearly in the meeting that took place, hey, Mr. Putin, you're not calling back the U.S. ambassador and try to prosecute him and interrogate him, and then has to come out today and say, oh, I'm sorry, of course we're not going to do that.
Well, I agree with that.
That's mess. That's craziness.
Well, and then, Greg, to say that you would at least think about trading our people for the 12 that were indicted in Russia. It's been a rough week. The narrative has been pretty dreadful.
I go back to yesterday's point. You were asking, does he know that this is a problem? No, because he assumed everybody knew what he was doing, because in the campaign he said it wouldn't be such a bad thing to develop a relationship with Russia. Why? Because if you offer a little bit of deference as a salesman, as a real estate tycoon, a little bit of deference with a bad guy could get you cooperation on A, B, C, and D. A, North Korea, B, Iran, C, Middle East, possibly Iran. Now, this is what's going to be interesting to me. What happens if we get what we want? What happens if we get something out of this deal 6 months from now, a year from now? Will CNN and MSNBC suddenly confess that he was not in Putin's pocket, that he was in America's pocket the entire time? This is a guy that the media accuses of being a nationalist and a traitor at the same time, a warmonger and a collusioner, which is impossible. Trump moving forward on the second meeting is brilliant because he's not hiding his motives. He's saying, you know what, I don't care if you think I'm in his pocket. I'm going ahead with this because I believe I can get prosperity and peace by dealing with a thug way better than you did for the past 20 years under this, he's evil. In the video game of life, saying Putin is evil is just level 1. You got to move up to the next level. You got to deal with him. That's what he's doing. And he did the negotiation in the perfect order. He built up the military. He upgraded the stick. Now he's got the carrot. The left always does it in reverse.
Right,
they throw the carrots at everybody.
Okay, but I just want to push back on that a little bit.
You can't, Kennedy. This is my moment. You're not going to be Whoopi to my Judge Jeanine.
I hate it when people call me hysterical. That's what makes me hysterical. You had to get that in there.
I did.
I've been waiting the whole show.
I did.
I just want to
We're
know
the five.
with North Korea, there's something tangible that we could get out of it. You could denuclearize the
but he
Korean
hasn't
Peninsula.
gotten a thing,
okay,
has
but
he?
what?
Yes, he has.
Well, we don't know
that
that
is a
either.
process, and I'm willing to give him patience there. But with Russia,
Don't root
I don't
against good
understand.
news.
What are we
news?
getting from Russia? We have a bigger economy. We are more powerful. We do not have to be deferential to that degree.
It's part of his toolkit. That's
Yeah,
all
you know
it
what,
is.
You know what
Right.
the biggest part of the toolkit is?
What?
I
Oh,
saw
no.
a poll
Oh,
today.
launch.
79% of Republicans say
Oh,
Trump
that.
did fine with Putin.
Yeah.
It makes me just bizarre. I don't understand.
We're not going to have room for your package.
The meeting will be right before the midterm, so that will be fascinating timing. Moving on, though, a liberal firestorm sends one Hollywood actor running for the hills after praising conservative Ben Shapiro. Oh, no, that is next.
Driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing.
Such a dance party. Actor Mark Duplass is facing major backlash from his fellow lefties for tweeting something truly horrifying and downright despicable. Are you ready? Get your barf bag. He tweeted praise for conservative Ben Shapiro. How dare he? He wrote, quote, fellow liberals, if you are interested at all in crossing the aisle, wink, you should consider following at Ben Shapiro. I don't agree with him on much, but he's a genuine person who wants to help me for no other reason than to be nice. He doesn't bend the truth. His intentions are good. Ultimately, the left-wing frenzy was too much for Duplass. He not only deleted the tweet, but actually apologized for the egregious act of reaching across the political aisle. My garden, Jesse Waters, what has it come to? He's not endorsing Ben Shapiro's weight loss plan. He's just saying, I disagree with him, but the guy is sincere.
And that's a great plan. Gutfeld and I are
Great
both
plan,
on that
yeah.
plan, and we look really trim.
Very trim, true.
I think the Democratic Party just has a tighter discipline than the Republican Party. Ideologically, they run a really tight ship. They have a lot of discipline. And the minute there's a hint that someone might even be curious about crossing the line to bipartisanship, smacks them, get them right back to the reservation. Look what happens when black Americans all of a sudden maybe move to the right. They're savagely attacked. Or when women in the Trump administration savagely attacked for being traitors to their gender. And, this is how they operate because I believe Democrats feel like politics is religion. And you have to adhere to their very strict dogma. And if you disagree with them or then kind of do anything against that dogma, they will outcast you and brand you as a traitor.
Did you catch the news that it's like 90% of Republicans support Trump?
Yes, I did catch that.
Talk
news.
about orthodoxy and refusal to move in the face of facts.
But I do think sometimes Republicans can be more bipartisan than Democrats.
Well, I'd be
John
interested to see
McCain,
it.
for an example.
Oh, so let's say take an issue like abortion, or how about gun rights?
Are there any
Or how about-
pro-life Democrats in
there
Congress
are.
right now?
I don't know, but I don't think.
One.
I don't think so. Is there one? Okay,
don't know.
I don't know. But how about gun rights? Do we see Republicans moving on that?
What about Rudy Giuliani? He's not necessarily a strict
But I think this
firearm
highlights,
enthusiast.
just highlights the problem, though, the lack of civility that we have in this country.
Because the world has turned into Jesse and Juan.
Well, no, just that you can't have a reasonable conversation or compliment someone on the other side of the political aisle. By the way, don't mess with Ben Shapiro. Have you seen him go up against Bill Maher? He's the one conservative I've seen really go head to head with Bill Maher. But I think this highlights how so many people are feeling in this country. I mean, I can't sit down with members of my own family today and talk politics. My husband and I say before we go out to dinner with them, just make sure you don't bring up anything politically related.
Wow.
Because
Well,
someone's going to walk out of the room.
You don't have a political family, so that's
It's great. It's great. So we just don't have dinner together. But no, but I think this highlights
weight loss.
where we are right now in this country and the lack of civility and the lack of respect and the unwillingness for people to cross that aisle and say, you know, we may disagree on something. And look, you guys do it all the time, and I think you do it pretty well. You
he
can disagree,
wasn't
but do it
endorsing anything. I
respectfully.
mean, he was merely expressing curiosity.
But I was going to say, if there are places where you can find like some really good civility, there's a show on ABC called The View. Everybody there's really polite. Anyway, okay, so there's a trend going on here against dialogue among the left. If you talk to anybody, that's wrong. So the idea of dialogue with Shapiro is equivalent to conspiring with evil, and therefore you can't dialogue with evil. So the only alternative is violence, and as human beings, communication evolved to prevent us beating each other to death with clubs, but now we're in separate clubs. I'm tired of the shallow social media mob action. These people actually really don't care that much, but they enjoy getting a scalp. So it's scalp collecting online. They think that this is some kind of achievement to go after this guy Duplass, and he deletes the tweet, which was cowardice. But I believe it's time for a group effort on the other side to counter mob actions, and that means defending people who are under attack. If you see somebody that's being attacked, whether it's Duplass, you do a segment like this, and you say, look, you know, this stuff's got to stop. Excuse me, apologize preemptively. Anyway,
it's got to stop.
Got to stop. By the way, this stuff, attacking somebody online does not persuade anyone. What it does is it will push somebody like Duplass into the center, away from the left. And you see this with podcasts like Dave Rubin and whatnot. They were once leftists, and now they're being pushed to the center.
But do you think that
Barry
Trump
Weiss had
has
a
anything to do with
fascinating
this?
article
Yes.
about that in the New York Times.
Do you think Trump has anything to do with tribalism and pushing people into
I think
disparate
identity
camps?
politics got there first.
that's
I think
Trump.
that's a
nationalism.
reaction to identity politics. I think
Yeah,
it's happening
white
on both sides.
nationalism and
And I think
neo-Nazis.
that
We
the
need
point
robots.
is it has moved to total extremes. Thank you for that. Teeing it up right. Thousands of tech leaders unite to stop the rise of killer robots. But is it already too late to avoid a robo-apocalypse?
Oh.
Greg explains.
Yes.
You must listen next.
So a bunch of really smart people called scientists signed a pledge to block the creation of lethal autonomous weapons, meaning killer robots. I guess they finally saw Terminator. But before we hail this unity against killer machines, consider this. It's too late. We already have killer robots. They're called drones. And if you don't get there first and make the best, most lethal ones, someone else will. See nukes. Bottom line, the country who masters new weapons first runs the earth and, of course, the universe. It better be us, not China. Besides, no one wants autonomous weapons acting on their own anyway. It's a myth. Consider the modern drone, a more effective weapon in that it can pick off the bad guy and spare the innocent people. It works because dozens of humans are involved operating that drone. It creates jobs. And if a drone can tell the difference between an ISIS meeting and a wedding, then banning them is wrong and evil. Elon Musk signed this pledge against killer weapons, but he also makes driverless cars, which can be killer weapons when they screw up. But even if a driverless car screws up, it will screw up less than one driven by a mistake-prone, distracted human. 1.3 million people die in car crashes a year. Driverless cars, as scary as they sound, will make fatal car crashes as uncommon as airline disasters. The bottom line, you can't prevent technology from leaving the barn until it's already galloped out, and then you have to own it. Centuries ago, the Pope tried to ban crossbows. How did that work out? All right, I'm going to go, as always, go to the person who I know agrees with me. Jesse?
Yes.
I love robots because they don't have the human flaws of distraction and exhaustion, which will help them make better decisions in war as they do in traffic.
I really like the idea of killer robots in urban warfare because you can automatically identify who the civilians are and who's armed. It computes immediately, and I think you save lives on the civilian side, and then you save the life of the soldier that doesn't have to be put in that position. I do find it funny that the robotics industry is on the precipice of two major breakthroughs: creating a sex robot and a killer robot. It's like the scientists are like 12-year-old boys. But I also like the idea of putting robots, not killer robots, but robots on the border. Because then you can detain the illegals crossing until Border Patrol gets there. And then the Democrats can't accuse the robots of being racist because they're robots.
You know what they'll want? There's a point. Robots have no emotion. They can't be racist. They can't be hungry.
You have robots running around the world killing people with no heart, no soul, no emotion.
That means they kill less. No, that means they kill less. Don't you get it? Emotion is what drives people to make mistakes. Massacres are caused by emotion. People that go off. Robots will not commit massacres. I don't know that for a fact.
They lack emotion. They lack empathy. They have
empathy is overrated.
They have underdeveloped emotions. Yeah, I don't know about those studies.
Thank you.
But I understand the drive to not create more killing machines.
Right.
I think that's better. And technology has always been a double-edged sword. And this is not the first time in the evolution of humankind that we have been faced with technological conundrums and issues. And I tend to trust technology more. But I do think we have to ask ourselves as a society, what are we leaning toward? Are we creating technology for peace? Are we bringing people together? By and large, yes. There are some issues here and there, and hopefully the majority of whatever defense spending there is in our robot overlords, it's not designed to kill.
So you're pro-robot.
I do agree with you, though. I think that if we don't do it, ultimately you will see Russia and you will see China. You know,
China's already doing it.
You know what they're doing in China, by the way? They're setting up a system of facial recognition. So I'm sure you guys have. Everywhere you go,
that's why they're stealing American technology.
Yeah,
and they want to make those exponential leaps quicker than we have.
Do any of you read science fiction?
Yes.
Do you go to the movies? Have you seen RoboCop? Do you see what happened? It wasn't good. RoboCop goes wild. There's a mistake.
He was half human, though. He was emotional, Juan. He was emotional. That's what RoboCop still had in his mind the memories of being shot. And that's what was driving him crazy.
Here's the reason that you see so many technology people say, hey, we got to stop. Because it's not that they worry about even China or the United States. It's that they worry about people, third world people, who somehow get this technology, they're bad guys, and suddenly they start...
No. When you capture the killer robot, it automatically explodes so they can't steal the secrets.
Jesse, that's not it, and everyone knows it. You squirt them with water.
Or unplug them.
Is that how that works?
You unplug them. That's that simple. By the way, to your point, you got to play offense to play defense. So you know they're going to get them anyway, so you get the better ones and you win.
Do you watch Westworld?
Overrated. The movie from 1972, fantastic.
TV show.
But I'm going, but you asked about Westworld. And I have an opinion on Westworld. The first season, excellent. Second season, convoluted, confusing.
All right, Whoopi.
One, I'm out of here. One has a Major League blast at the All-Star Game. His all-access look behind the scenes at Nationals Park when we return.
Yay.
Oh, look at that.
Thrill of a lifetime for me to be at the MLB All-Star Game in D.C. earlier this week. So it's time to take you behind the scenes for all of the Major League action. Big boys' dreams come true. I'm Juan, and I get to go to the All-Star Game for the first time in my baseball fan's life. But you know what? It's also a dream come true for a little boy named Juan. I'm going to the All-Star Game. Can you believe it? All-Star Game. So I'm a national season ticket holder, and I wanted to tell you guys and show you guys where I sit when I come to have some fun. Time off means baseball for me. So this is where I sit at Nationals Park. I want to show you where Charles Krauthammer sat, right here. Charles, as you know, was in a wheelchair, so this was a special accommodation made for him by the team.
After the games were over, he'd come and take his you know, he was on that wheelchair and come down in the runway, and I would talk to him.
What would he talk to you about?
He'd ask me why I took that guy out.
Oh, would he really? This is the first time I've ever been to an All-Star game. Big thrill for me. Is it a thrill for you as a player?
Yeah, for sure. It's my first one as well.
Okay, All-Star game. I know fans think it's not that big, it's an exhibition. You say, no, it's really great because...
Well, it's great because it is an exhibition, and it's an exhibition of the greatest players on the planet.
Grew up a Reds fan.
Yeah.
You grew up a Reds fan and you play for the Reds. That's nobody else that I've talked to is able to say that so far. So ever since I was a little kid, baseball's been everything to me. And it's such a thrill that now I get to share it with my grandson, Eli. You grew up in Detroit.
I did.
So you were a Tigers fan first?
I love the Tigers. I can tell you all the people who were on the '68 team that won the World Series.
So here I am in Nationals Park in my seat at the ballpark next to my favorite baseball fan, my wife, Delise. She's a bigger fan than I am because she gets to come to all the games. You love baseball?
I love baseball.
But you love me more. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Leroy Wines is my usher. My man helps me out, but I gotta tell you, so when I catch a fly ball, what do you make me do with it?
Give it to a youngster.
And Mary Catherine scores every game the old-fashioned way on her scorecard. It's a beautiful night for baseball. Let's play 2 All-Stars.
Well done.
Nice.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Very good.
Jesse,
Cameo with Ben Carson.
Yeah, Ben came over. You know, of course, my son works with Ben, so there's a little connection. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you look like you were taking some nice cuts there, but Ben, I don't think it ever maybe picked up a baseball bat.
I think Ben's hurt his shoulder
Is that the reason? Okay.
Yeah, but he's actually, I was surprised. And know what? There were kids in the outfield, and they loved it. They
really?
got a big kick out of the secretary being there with them, hitting baseballs to them.
You interview a lot of people. It's hard to interview athletes, isn't it?
It's really hard. But it's fun because you know what? They are such good. I was surprised. They really are good-looking young men.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
I don't disagree with you on that one. How excited was your grandson?
Oh, he was thrilled. He had a great time.
There's Ben. Whoa.
Yeah, and Eli and Rafi, my youngest son, both had fun. In fact, Rafi got to hang out. There's Rafi. Got to hang out with Big Papi. Yeah, he's the one who just got married. But he got to hang out with Big Papi, and he got to meet some of the players himself. So they're the three of us.
He's the Republican. He's a Republican, right?
That's true. I don't know what's went wrong, Jesse.
You have a beautiful family.
Thanks.
He watches too much Jesse Waters is the problem.
That's not a problem, Abby.
Especially with the new hairdo.
Well, yeah.
I know.
Font.
I know. Has he commented about my hair on social media yet?
I don't know. I'll ask him tonight. Anyway, thanks so much to Major League Baseball and the Nationals. Great time. One more thing. So much fun, and it's up next.
Time now for one more thing. Kennedy.
Well, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of, Dawn, the wonderful dishwashing soap. They have been in a partnership with the International Bird Rescue and Marine Mammal Center. They have saved over 75,000 animals in their 40-year partnership. And so we are holding baby ducklings to celebrate. And look how beautiful. This is a 2-day-old duckling. And many of his friends and ancestors have been saved because Dawn is the very best at getting oil off of their feathers. And right now, this is pure down. And millions of dollars have been provided in donations thanks to this partnership. So these little guys, yeah, I know, it's okay.
Don't pull an Aussie.
Greg.
Are there more ducks? I want to hold.
This is Canard Depardieu.
Oh, that's a great name.
Thank you.
By the way, I like his
adorable.
haircut.
Oh, he's so sweet. It looks like Jesse's.
Nice.
Fuzzy and windblown.
All right. They don't bite, do they?
No, he doesn't bite. He's just chirping. He's very sweet. Listen.
Okay.
What did they say?
Oh, my God.
What do you say? You want the president to
Trump
have
2020?
Another summit with Vladimir Putin?
Okay. Greg Gutfeld.
I can't match that, but I'm going to try. Let's go to Griggs, that's repulsive. This is a terrible video. If you have children, I want them to leave the room right now. Take a look at this horrible, horrible scene. We have some kind of beast running towards you, and then trying to get down the stairs, and then is stuck, and then this is where it gets really disgusting. Look, he can't get down the stairs. Is this not the best thing you've ever seen in your life? Oh, I know. The ducks are
Greg,
cute.
that is sad.
The ducks are cute. No, this isn't. How is this sad?
It's stuck.
Well, somebody filming it is obviously going to help him or
Greg
her.
was complaining in the commercial that the duck upstaged his animal video.
This is the greatest animal. That's the greatest animal video ever.
Ever.
It is great.
Until
I don't know.
the next one.
Mine's pretty good.
All right.
Oh, what's yours, Abby?
So, and I think a prerequisite to fill in for Dana is to be totally obsessed with your dog. I've got a golden retriever. If you follow me on Instagram, Golden George. So any golden retriever story I love. This is adorable one. Buddy is his name, and his dad, Army pilot Zach Vohaska. He came home from a 6-month deployment. He doesn't know that he's underneath the blankets here, but watch his tail. Watch how excited he gets when his head comes out. Anyone who has a golden knows that they are your best friend in the whole world.
I love it.
That's it.
Look how cute that is.
My dog video was better.
You know why? Yours was sad. I feel bad for the guy. No, so I have a golden retriever. I think we have a video or a photo of George. I don't know if they can pull it up. But anyway, there's Isabel. I just had a baby a few months ago, and now he sits wherever she is and protects her and makes sure she's okay.
I like that.
Yeah. So you know what? Goldens are the best. I just had to give a little shout out to the best dogs in the world.
Any more dog stuff?
Okay, I do not have a dog video. In the summer, a lot of the people, when they go to the pool, they have to teach their young children how to swim and dive. Diving's very important.
Oh, no, not this again.
Here's how this went.
Last time.
Go ahead, Win. Okay, now Winston goes and you wink.
Go ahead, Deke.
Belly flop. Karina Casanova.
I love
posted
it.
that on Facebook.
Pretty cool.
Hands at his
Okay, there it is. All right, Juan.
All right, here we go. Boom. Yep. Take a look at what happened this morning on Fifth Avenue, Lower Manhattan. Explosion left a huge crater in the middle of Fifth Avenue. 5 people injured, minor injuries. 49 buildings had to evacuate, all still closed. And fears that asbestos was blown into the air, so people near the blast being told to shower, take their clothes to be decontaminated.
Sounds like The View.
By the way, this explosion, the result of a broken steam pipe, folks. I didn't know this, but steam pipes cover 105 miles underground.
De Blasio really needs to get things together.
That's so depressing.
Set your DVRs. Never miss an episode of The Five. Special report up next. Brett, what do you think?